How's it going, everybody? It's a new week, it's time for a new video. My name is Seamus, but you can call me Shweem. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into Godot. I've been using Godot for a good while now, and I really like the editor. Today, I want to share with you a couple projects that I've made in the give or take 2 years that I've been working in the editor. I want to talk a little bit more about my game Pathfinder, which I am making for my undergraduate thesis. It will be launching sometime next month. And I also want to talk about just some of my other miscellaneous projects that I've worked on in some kind of shorter amounts of time while I've been working on Pathfinder. These are all just kind of like little ideas, snippets of things that I've had on my mind that I've experimented with in Godot. I think it will be fun to talk about them a little bit here today. So yeah, without further ado, I guess we can kind of get into it. Today I wanted to start by talking about Pathfinder, and then we'll segue into some other things, talk about some other projects, maybe the Godot editor, just kind of more broadly. Pathfinder is a game that I've been working on for a very long time now. I honestly could probably work on Pathfinder forever. I mean, yeah, seriously. It's a very, very simple game, but I just really enjoy working on it at this point. It's been kind of a constant in my life for a while. In between classes, my freshman year, I was just kind of sitting in the library messing around with Unity, and Pathfinder started to kind of come to fruition. I would eventually, probably about 2 summers later, take it very seriously and decide to launch it as a demo for the full game. That was really interesting. This went from something that I had like very loosely worked on for about 1.5 years to then suddenly being like full steam ahead. I did probably more work in those 3 months of summer than I had in the entirety of the time before. The game grew a lot, it kind of got the character that it has now, and it was just very rewarding. It was the first time that I had like actually released a game, so I learned about itch, I learned about Newgrounds, I learned about kind of connecting with players and a potential community. I got to fix some bugs and talk to some players about things that they liked or disliked about the games. I even got to watch someone stream Pathfinder on Twitch. That was really, really cool. Thank you, T-Walls. I'm not sure if he's on YouTube. If he is, I'll have to plug him in this video because that was just awesome. The launch of Pathfinder, at least the Unity demo, was very successful, and I really, really enjoyed that. When I came back and wanted to actually finish the game, my Unity project was such a mess. I was very inexperienced when I started, and that technical debt just continued to grow. And so that's where the idea for my thesis for my computer science degree came from, which was to rebuild Pathfinder using Godot, which I had been learning and using for a while now, from the ground up, and just generally more longevity for the project. I designed it this time around with the idea that I could come back in 6 months to a year and have no issue adding new content to the game. That was really fun. Honestly, it was really interesting. I had never just rebuilt a project before. It was really, really kind of cool to see when and where things were different from making something brand new. So much of the early work happened so quickly, and then so much of the refinement and the real improvement was so iterative and took so much time. The visuals to Pathfinder saw a lot of overhauls. I spent a lot of time just kind of looking at my sprites and playing my levels and trying to figure out just what didn't feel right, what didn't look right, what could be better, what could be more consistent. I'm not a professional. I've just been doing this in my free time for a long time. I still have a lot to learn, especially when it comes to getting games to the finish line. But generally speaking, I'm very happy with where Pathfinder is today. Overall, I think visually, mechanically, and sonically, Pathfinder is just a better game. Each set of levels has its own music now, there's way more sound effects, the player controller is much more interesting, so much more agency has been given to the player to choose how they move through the levels. The levels themselves have all seen improvements, and the general design language of the whole game has shifted. We now have just the single color palette, with the definition of each level coming more from the sprites rather than the unique colors. I could carry on about Pathfinder for hours and hours and hours. I'm writing a thesis about it. I've been working on it for a very long time at this point. I think that's about it, at least for Pathfinder here right now. I think that in the future, I will have a devlog, or at least like a launch video where I talk just about Pathfinder. But I want to get into some of my other projects now because there's some cool stuff, and I think that it's kind of my fault for not releasing some of these things. I have a portfolio of a lot of like just platformer games, And I have made a disproportionate amount of platformer games compared to other stuff, but specifically in the last year or two, I've tried to branch out a bit, and those projects never really get to see the light of day. And that was one of the reasons why I was excited to start talking about Godot on the channel, was this is like finally my opportunity to try and test these out. The first of these kind of miscellaneous projects that I want to talk about is internally I just call Plane Test, or the plane game. It's very simple. I made it after watching Porco Rosso sometime last year. I just really loved watching the planes move and fight in that movie, and I wanted to try doing that in pixel art, so that's exactly what you get out of this tech demo. The mechanics are supposed to be interesting but still simple, so you can turn the engine of the plane off and on, and the plane taxis until you reach a certain speed, at which point it takes off, and then the movement mechanics shift, as they should, because you're no longer rolling on the ground. There's some varying flight dynamics based on your speed and things like that. You can ascend and descend, you can turn, and you can shoot the weapons on the plane. Currently there's no actual combat. I stopped right after I added the weapons. But overall, I was really happy with how it came together. I think that the plane is very simple but looks nice. I use a very simple drop shadow from Godot shaders, and it looks great. Really kind of brings everything together. It's just kind of supposed to be like a kind of cozy, simple vibe. My bigger plan for the game was that maybe you'd be making deliveries and fighting off like sea pirates. I think this could be kind of interesting to explore more. There's really nothing else to it right now. If you guys are interested, I would love to maybe make a devlog video where I try adding some features. This next project is even shorter lived than the plane game. This was a couple days in and out. I hadn't really done much in 3D, and so I just wanted to get a feel for what some of those things looked like. The end result is really simple. The reason why this one has not seen the light of day is because, well, you can probably see in the background, there's not much to look at. You can walk around, you can shoot your weapon, you can change fire modes. There's some very, very primitive, like billboarded sprite enemies that will follow you around. They don't do damage. You can crouch slide like Ultra Kill. And yeah, I think you can double jump, and you can also rocket jump. I will confirm all these features while I'm playing to get B-roll. This project was a lot of fun. I would like to probably not keep working on this one, but start from scratch with what I learned here. I really did actually enjoy working in 3D, specifically this kind of like pseudo 3D. I think it would be cool to make. I mean, it's kind of oversaturated, but the whole like old school boomer shooter genre is very fun to me. I like those kinds of games, especially in today's market. That's about it for this project. I think it would be cool to return to this, like I was saying, maybe start from scratch and make something properly scoped with some intention behind it. Other than that, that's pretty much all there is to see here. Moving on. This final project that I'm going to be talking about for just a second here was really just focused on experimenting with string parsing in Godot. I made a very simple platformer game. Player does not move. This is just that answer to floating point precision where you like move the world and everything else rather than actually move the player. I was curious how that worked. There's no real reason to do it in a game this small or simple, but I just wanted to try it. So there's that. There's very simple like Goomba Stomp mechanic. The real thing that I was proud of here, and this is what I spent the most of the time working on, was the dialogue system. I still think I'll use this in a game eventually because this came together like very nicely. It's basically just JSON based. There's a name and then like content for each message. There can also be multiple messages in a conversation. I mean, it's very simple, but I was proud of it when I made it. It dynamically like assigns colors to the different names of the speakers, and the conversations can play out with multiple speakers. The text kind of types itself out. You can skip through dialogue. I was just trying to get a feel for what that was like in Godot, and I'm honestly really happy with how it came out. I never did anything else with this project, just some basic like NPC interactions for conversations. This is something that I would, again, actually really like to put in like a full-size project. I think it came together really well, and generally speaking, the code isn't like too messy. I think if I spent just a little bit of time cleaning it up. Godot has actually also added the ability to statically type your dictionary since I made this. That was something that you could not do at the time. Maybe I can return to this project sometime soon, make that fix, and show that off here. Alternatively, I'll make a video where I like transplant the dialogue system into like an actual project in the future. But that's for future me, not today. With all of that out of the way, I think that brings us just about to the end of this week's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed getting a bit of a closer look at both Pathfinder and some of my other Godot projects. I've really enjoyed learning Godot over the past like 2 years, and I look forward to continuing to use it. I hope that some of these projects give you guys an idea of just all the different kinds of things that you can do. Like if you have an idea, Godot makes it so easy to sit down and start iterating, prototyping, and make that idea a reality. That's part of the reason why I like it so much, is it feels like that barrier to entry just doesn't exist. The syntax is so high level, the editor itself is so user-friendly, the documentation is so good. I just really enjoy like sitting down and spending time in the Godot editor, and I hope that this video can maybe inspire you guys to do the same. That's about it from me today. I appreciate you guys for sticking around and listening to me talk about some of my work here again this week. I also appreciate you guys for being patient while I wait to get this video out. This week did not go according to plan, but I'm still pretty happy with how this video kind of came together, and I hope that you guys will enjoy it all the same. Until next time, see you later.